Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on YouTube and Facebook Live. But this is a pre-record because when this drops, I will be on my 12th dream. It is early in the morning here in beautiful St. Cloud, Florida, 4:31 to be exact, 3:31 over in San Antonio, Texas. My co-host, Mr. Mike Zappi, aka Jerry, has lost it. Yeah, he has. Jerry is a very, very interesting man these days. On this morning's show, it is the Week 11 NFL preview. We are also going to hit on the UFC action that went down. And we're going to talk a little bit about an upcoming Thanksgiving game where each of us, devout giant, a devout cowboy, may be in a very peculiar position where we might have to root for the other guy's team. These are the times. As usual, we're going to hit on the less notables kind of briefly. Not speaking for Zappy, these are just my picks. Home teams are in caps. I got the Detroit Lions rather easily over Mac Jones and the Jacksonville Jaguars 34-13. Tennessee Titans by a field goal over the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to start to come down to earth. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a different result, but I do like the home team there. Miami Dolphins going to set up a 2-game win streak, defeating the Raiders by 11. Toughest game to call out of the less notables here. A rematch of two different Super Bowls, one that the Patriots both won, that the Patriots both won. I got the Rams 24-20 over the New England Patriots, who are starting to look a little better with Drake May at the helm. I've got the Saints playing against their former quarterback, Mr. Crab Legs himself, Jameis Winston. I got the Saints by 10 over the Browns. And in a real doozy, the Jets and 5 field goals will be better than the Colts by a point.
I'm going to drop a quick thing on each game. Lions, Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence out. Give me the Lions to drop another 40 points on another NFL team. Jaguars are in shambles. The Vikings, to piggyback off of what you said, Sam Darnold has come back down to earth. And the Titans secondary is actually one of the better ones in the NFL. It's just their offense has been non-existent with Will Levis. But I'm with you. I think the Titans can come out victorious on this one. Dolphins and Raiders. Dolphins, that was a huge Monday night win against the Rams, and I think they're going to carry that momentum going into this game. So I agree with you on that one. Rams, Patriots. This is a must-win for the Rams as they did drop the ball on Monday night against the Dolphins. I think the Patriots are playing competitive football, but yeah, the Rams I think will come out victorious. Saints, Browns. I'm going to go with the Browns on this one. I think Jameis Winston has a lot more, and if you really take away the Cowboys, the Jets, and the Giants, the Saints are the next most dysfunctional franchise. The Browns don't have Deshaun Watson, and they actually look like an NFL franchise again. So I'm going to take the Browns on that one. And the Jets, Colts, AR's getting his second chance. He is going to be starting again. I'm going to go with the Colts to come out, and I think they will drop 18 points on top of the Jets, 15 points. A field goal game, but AR gets it done.
All right. You have AR8 versus AR15.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yes, sir.
I see what you did there.
So kind of the same train of thought. I actually had the Colts getting 7 safeties. That's how they got to 14.
God. I think those Aaron Rodgers laid him down the field 5 times for 5 field goals. He gets sacked 7 times.
7 goal line stands, which then lead to safeties each and every time. First offense play of the game. Happens all the time in Madden if you know what you're doing. And no, just kidding.
And each sack is given up by Tyron Smith.
I like it.
The future Hall of Famer.
I like it. The Jets, listen to this. Anders Carlson is picked up. He'll be replacing Greg the Leg. Anders Carlson, another former Packer. Probably a guy. He might not be as hated in Green Bay as, say, a Brian Bostic. but definitely cost the Packers a chance at the NFC title game last year, letting the 49ers off the hook. He is a Jet.
Can you say that name one more time? I'm pretty sure I had to remind Mr. John Olson of that name when he brought up the catch. I was like, you know what? Dez caught it. Maybe he didn't, but at least Brian, what was his name again?
Brian Bostic.
Bostic, that's right. Brian Bostic. What did he do again? Did he mess up on that onside kick? I don't know. I might just making this up. Anyway,
It was pretty awful. And
Brian Bostic,
my
Seattle.
father, rest his soul, we ultimately lost him a couple of years after that game. But that particular night, I thought we might have lost him there. He and John Olson together. Oh, that was painful to watch.
Oh, I think it was that. That was one of the biggest what ifs in NFL history.
No, absolutely. And since you are on that what if, we're going to talk about the guy that doled him the pain. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, 7-3, traveling to 7-2. The most intense rivalry consistently for the last 15, 20 years in the NFL. It goes without saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers more than likely have the best front seven in the NFL. Rejuvenated career thus far in Pittsburgh for Russell Wilson, the former Super Bowl winner, really getting the most out of his third NFL situation. I still think Justin Fields could be in this team's future, but right now this is Russ's team. He gives them the best chance to win on a week-to-week basis. Derrick Henry, not too many people would put him and say, hey, that's the comeback player of the year, because he did get hurt last year. But he is definitely in the conversation this season. And I must admit, he has outdone what I thought he would do thus far this year. You talked about it with me off air. I tend to agree with you. The Baltimore secondary worries you, and they worry me. Lamar Jackson, good possibility he could be the league MVP again. But they got to win this game because, truthfully, you don't want to fall back a game and a half. You don't.
Maybe 2.5 games.
7-3, 7-2. No, I see what you're saying. The Lamar Jackson era has not produced signature wins against the Steelers. And John Harbaugh has been on the wrong end when facing Mike Tomlin consistently, even when most would say this particular Baltimore team has a better roster. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have a former Raven feeding much intel. And that, of course, is Patrick Queen. A lot of storylines here, man. A lot of storylines. I think Russ has really opened up the offense where you're starting to see these guys go downfield, feel more confident. And, you know, they have that ability to hit you quick strike now, where we haven't seen that in Pittsburgh football for the better part of 4 years. Pretty much since Big Ben hung it up. What are your thoughts here? This is going to be a hell of a matchup.
It's a hell of a matchup, man. And when I look at this entire situation going on here, I mean, I look at the Steelers for one. Ever since Russ has been input into the starting quarterback position, not only has their offense been flying, but you look at a guy like Najee Harris, he has been unstoppable running the rock. I mean, that guy's rushing yards have been through the roof. And then you look at the passing game with the Steelers, not talking about the addition of Mike Williams before that, but then you throw in Mike Williams, and he has fit right into that offense. And really, it goes back to I mean, the wisdom that Mike Tomlin has in the NFL and why he is considered one of the best coaches ever. This is a guy that many Steelers fans wanted to move on from a couple years ago, and I kept advocating for Mike, and I said, this guy knows what he's doing, and he's proving it yet again. I mean, I was calling for Justin Fields to remain the starter, but Russell Wilson was brought to this team for games like today against the Ravens because Russell has been there many times. And really, if you look at Russell last year with Denver, he had a damn good year. It was just it was silenced because of the fact that the Broncos were such a bad team. Russell is fitting in just fine, and it
They
also
did him
helps.
dirty.
Yeah, they did him very dirty. But then when you have one of the top defenses in the NFL, and then you throw in a Preston Smith to that defense, the guy they acquired at the trade deadline to team up with Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. I mean, this defense is very good. And I look at the history that Lamar Jackson has had against the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout his career. He's faced them 4 times, missed 6 games. He's 1-3 in his career against them. Mike Tomlin knows how to coach against the Ravens.
You hear this, Chris Dixon, right? These are all facts, by the way.
It is, and but now when I look at the Ravens, and why I say 2.5 games back in the loss column is because the Ravens lost to the Browns. The Steelers' losses were not in the AFC or AFC North, AFC Central, really taking it back there in the AFC North. That loss to the Browns is going to come back and haunt Baltimore, in my honest opinion. And when I look at this game, I think they are going to split this season. But when I look at a Pittsburgh team at home riding a great high, and I look at a Baltimore team that, yes, Lamar is he's gonna show up. He's well on his way to an MVP season this year. Obviously, no injuries and all that. He's gonna win it this year. There's no question about it. But if there's one defense I can trust that's going to be able to slow down Derrick Henry, and if a guy like Mika Fitzpatrick needs to do what he needs to do, it's the Steelers, and I think they can do enough to stop Lamar Jackson. It's going to be a dogfight. This game is going to be a dogfight. I've been high on the Steelers for the last couple of years. I've been high on the Steelers this year because of that defense. I sold you a few times this year with the Steelers, had you flip your choices, which ended up being the right ones. This Steelers team, to me, on their way to playing in the AFC Championship game against, we already know who. He's my homie, or he's everyone's homie. This Steelers team is not getting the recognition they deserve, and a win tomorrow will definitely not only put them in most people's top 5 power rankings, I think it's going to really put them on the board. And when you have a Super Bowl winning quarterback since prime Ben Roethlisberger, this team's going to go very far. Give me the Steelers to win this one in a very, very good defensive, a lot of punches, great rivalry game. Give me the Steelers to win 23-17. I think it's going to be a great game. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be much of a factor. I do think Lamar Jackson is going to be the factor, but all in all, I think the difference in this game is going to be Russell Wilson.
All right. Unsung hero of this game, it's going to be Isaiah Likely. I have a feeling Isaiah Likely is going to have like 2 catches for like 80 yards, 75 yards. I would not be the least bit surprised if Mark Andrews is quiet for the most part. I agree with the Henry take. I think Derrick Henry will be bottled up to the tune. And when you bottle up Derrick Henry, it's like a 60-yard game. I'd say about 62 yards, but he's going to really work for each and every one of them. Oh, man. Rashad Bateman catching second coverages could be beneficial. I don't see Zay Flowers going off. The question is, will George Pickens go off? Because that Baltimore secondary has been rough. You might find this funny, but I am taking Baltimore here because it's not a playoff game. Remember I said that.
Oh.
Baltimore 24, Pittsburgh 23, Justin Tucker for the win. How far are we kicking this? Let's go 57 yards for the win. And I actually think Pittsburgh is going to win the time of possession. And I think Pittsburgh's going to win the yardage. I think you're going to have some uncharacteristic mistakes in this game that are going to cost. It could be something silly like a strip sack or a bad snap, maybe a special teams blunder. Now, granted, the Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the best special teams units in this league.
Their special team coach, without question, should be in the for assistant coach of the year.
No, it's a valid take, and I mean, shoot, were it not for the Pittsburgh special teams, the Giants might have won that game a couple weeks back. Seems like another lifetime ago. The last time the Pittsburgh Steelers lost a game was to your Dallas Cowboys. I like the Ravens here because they are so damn due to win against Pittsburgh. But I don't think this is going to be the kind of game that's going to be reflective of how these two teams end. I'm going to just put it like that. But I think Baltimore gets the dub tomorrow. I think Pittsburgh is actually quite dangerous, even as a potential wild card.
And hats off to schedule makers for putting that game at your prime 1 o'clock / noon / 10 Pacific game and leave your big 3 o'clock game, and Sunday night is going to be a good game. Like, these schedule makers got this weekend right. I will say that.
Well, yeah, because the reality is that you wanna hit them early. You watched good football during the first slate. You're in a good mood, and if you're thinking about the number one pick like you and I are, you're in a good mood. If Cobra Kai's back, you're in a good mood. We're going to hit on Cobra Kai at the end of this. I'm not going to say a damn thing, but I'm going to say a couple of things without doing any spoilers to mess you up. So your final is
23-17. We both have the Steelers scoring 23.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I have Justin Tucker walking it off. Neither conclusion would surprise me. We're going to go from this rivalry to the oldest in the NFL. The Green Bay Packers at 6-3, taking on the Chicago Bears at 4-5. But man, the Bears are really sputtering. There has been some whispers about would it be wise to bench Caleb Williams, to maybe reset his footing, similar to what the Carolina Panthers did with Bryce Young, and maybe bring in Bagent 17 there. But personally, nah, he's the one pick. You got to ride it out for now. But Josh Jacobs, this is the year of Saquon, the year of Derrick Henry's reemergence. We'll see if CMC could be a hero down the stretch for the 49ers. Kyron Williams has been a dog since coming out of Notre Dame. But Josh Jacobs has quietly really been super efficient for these Green Bay Packers. Packers defense, good balance everywhere. I do like the McKinney pickup for them. I think he serves them well with the schematics. But what worries me about this team, not just in this game, not so much, but looking ahead a little bigger scope, Jordan Love, can you trust him in the playoffs to not make the critical mistakes? We saw it in Santa Clara last year. We saw it in SoFi this year, the game that John Olsen attended. Fortunately for them, they were able to escape. I worry about him. As the game goes, I think Green Bay is going to take the one thing that Chicago tries to do and do well, and that's run the ball. I think if the Green Bay Packers shut down the run, they're going to force Caleb Williams into one too many mistakes. And honestly, I think this Bears team is kind of like close to like a revolt against the kid because a lot of grouchy veterans do not like this dude.
I mean, we're talking about veterans, a guy like DJ Moore who walks off the field in the middle of a play. I think the issue going on in Chicago is a lot bigger than what we're seeing. We don't know what's going on in the locker room, what's being said in the locker room. But this was a team that was just 4-2 3 weeks ago.
That Hail Mary turned it all upside down.
It turned it upside down. But when I look at the way Caleb Williams reacted to that Hail Mary, it was not the reaction of a leader.
Walking off the field, not acknowledging your opposing quarterback, and not showing true leadership. I remember young Trevor Lawrence after a very tough defeat against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, waited at the tunnel for each and every one of his Jaguar teammates to address them. That's a leader. He might not be a good player right now. He might need some readjusting. He might even need a new start, but that's a leader.
It reminded me of last year when USC loses that game and he runs to the stands and being held by his mom. That was the big issue that myself, Idris, yourself, we all talked about, is his character. And character in the NFL is a much bigger word than at the college level. And whenever your team, I mean, he drove his team down the field to take the lead. Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson was mocking the fans, and karma bit him in the butt. He tipped the ball, it went right into Noah Brown's arms. You know, Caleb Williams could have easily sat there and took the positive route. Guys, you know what? It wasn't meant to be. We played our fucking hearts out. Excuse my language.
No, you're good. You're good.
But things like that. But instead, he acted like a child. And in my opinion, the team responded to him. And we've seen it. I mean, this offense has been non-existent. Caleb Williams and that offense was rolling. I mean, they were getting stronger. And ever since then, they have not been doing much. When your receivers are not doing anything, Rome Odunze, I mean, he's a guy that has the potential to be a great NFL receiver. But when your quarterback is starting to become very predictable, it's easy. And now you throw a Green Bay Packers defense that's of one of the better defenses. If it wasn't for that defense, it's very possible that the Packers might have another loss or two. Let's be real about that.
Absolutely, especially in the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
when they had to march out Malik Willis.
Exactly. So it's I look at this defense to come out tomorrow and really confuse the hell out of Caleb Williams. And that run game for the Bears, I just don't think they can do it against this Packers defense.
No.
And this Packers defense is good when they're able to trade away a guy like Preston Smith off to the Steelers, and they sit there and say, we're fine. We have a lot of ammunition. And they do. They really do. As far as Jordan Love goes, I don't think this is the type of game that he's going to be forced to be in a situation where he might make that mistake or two. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be able to rely heavily on Josh Jacobs in the running game. And really, it might not be a high-scoring affair. It's not going to need to be. It's really not going to need to be. But they're going to win this game. That's the way I look at it with this game. I think the Packers know that the NFC North is not out of reach yet, but that's not what they're playing for right now. In my opinion, with the NFC, there's the Detroit Lions, obviously the Eagles. They're going to be the 1 and 2 seeds. And then there's everyone else. And really, the Packers, they're going to be one of those wild card teams that's going to shock some people. They're going to beat some butt. And you look at an Atlanta team, you look at whoever the 3 seed is. I mean, the Packers are going to be there. They're going to be right there. This is not a game they need to put much stress on Jordan Love. Keep it easy. Run the ball. Stop the run of the Bears. Force Caleb Williams to make those critical mistakes, and you're going to win the game. I'm going to take the Packers to win this one 27-13. I think it's going to be a fairly easy game for them.
Very close to my score. I'm going 30-13. Very close to my score. Yeah. If the Bears can't run the ball, they don't have a chance in hell. And they're not going to be able to run the ball at the clip that they need to be successful. But yeah, damn near the same final. A rematch of Super Bowl 33 going down in Mile High. We've got the Atlanta Falcons. One last thing about these Packers. They are not worried about playing on the road. And John Olsen's spoken about this in recent times that he's been on the show. He hasn't been here in a while. But the Lambeau mystique is not what it once was. But in the Matt LaFleur era, the Green Bay Packers are a very good road team. I mean, even against these hyper-talented Lions, who could potentially be undefeated were it not for a couple of plays in the Tampa game super early in the year. I think it was week 2.
Week 2.
Yeah. This Packer team's not afraid to go anywhere. They should have beat the Niners. They did beat your team. And personally, last year, I don't know who would have won if the Lions and Packers would have played, but it would have been phenomenal. Last year they beat the Lions in Detroit, but the Lions beat them in Lambeau. This year the Lions beat them in Lambeau, but they haven't played Detroit yet. They've also have a loss to Minnesota in Lambeau. And the way Minnesota's trending now, I can see the Packers picking up the return game on the road yet again. So stay tuned for that. Super Bowl 33 rematch. John Elway's last game, actually. The Denver Broncos at 500, 5-5, hosting the Atlanta Falcons. The NFC South leading Atlanta Falcons, which is noteworthy because the Buccaneers have completely run that division for quite some time. Both these teams, in my opinion, need to do the same thing to win. But personally, I like the Denver Broncos because I really think they're going to win their matchups. I'm talking about Atlanta's top flight playmakers are going to be shut down by Denver's secondary. And I think Kirk Cousins is going to be lured into some poor mistakes. And Mile High is not an easy place to go. And this is the team that's a little pissed off because they should have beaten the Chiefs last week and they didn't. Hang on 2 seconds, Zach. You could jump on here. I got to plug this computer in.
Yeah, I look at this Denver Broncos team while they're sitting there at 5-5. I mean, they should have won last week. I mean, hands off to the Chiefs to being able to block that game-winning field goal to keep their undefeated season going. But this Denver Broncos team with Bo Nix and company, Sean Payton has done a very good job with them where they're right there in the playoff hunt. And I look at a team like Atlanta coming in where in the NFC South, it's really not much. I mean, the Saints came out to start off the year 2-0, dropping 40-plus points in the first 2 weeks. And ever since then, they've been non-existent. And then you look at the Panthers, another team that really hasn't done anything this year. And Tampa Bay has been suffering from the injuries with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and company going down. I mean, this is the kind of game where Atlanta could easily let their guard down and go into Denver and lose it. And I agree. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Denver's going to come out, play some great defense, and be able to do the necessary things on the offense to be able to win against Atlanta. And right now, it's a tale of two stories. And when I look at Atlanta, I look at what they've done this year. They've beaten one team this year with a 500 record. Of course, they beat the Bucks twice. And I look at Denver. I mean, they've had some good quality wins this year, and they should have had the most quality win. I'm going to take Denver in this game. I think Denver is going to stand their ground. I think they're going to be able to contain Kirk Cousins and company. I think they have the defense to be able to slow down the running game and the passing game. I'm going to take Denver in this one. I'm going to take Denver to win this one 20-17. I think they're going to do enough to win. And Bo Nix, really, if you look at him this year, he's not making mistakes. He's doing a great job. I mean, he's undefeated against Caleb Williams so far in his career.
I am so glad you mentioned Caleb Williams because you know how sometimes when we do a show and we're on a roll, but then we're like, damn, I wanted to mention one more thing. Caleb Williams, you mentioned Rome Odunze earlier, and that sparked my memory for Caleb Williams, and you literally just said his name, which is awesome, because I wasn't going to bring it up unless you said it by accident. That's why I made a trade, 2 trades. Zappe drafted well, but a lot of his players were not performing up to expectations. I'm going for the gusto. I lost our championship last year. The year before that, Zappe and I split the crown. And our buddy Brett, having probably his best year since he's been a member of Cheddar in the Sun, he's going to be pretty pissed off when he looks at the phone or the computer tomorrow and sees what that projection looks like. I got Jahmyr Gibbs and Cooper Kupp from Mr. Zappe here. Nobody was very active at the deadline in our league, which is rare. And Zappe's going to be a pretty rich man in terms of draft capital. And I'll be honest, I think I'm a really good drafter. And that's the only reason why I feel comfortable dumping a first and a second. I'm going for it this year. I want I want to win my second championship in 3 years. I'm going for it.
I announced it. I mean, I'll say it. Brandon Ayuk, obviously torn ACL. Jalen Waddle has underperformed, and I mean that is partially because Tua was hurt. Anthony Richardson, he didn't do much. I mean, I took a lot of gambles in this draft, and they didn't pay off. It's that easy, and I've lost a lot of close ones. So, I mean, Greg the Leg cost me 2 weeks of fantasy, and at some point, I had to be Kamala and concede the victory, but at least I announced it rather than going to hide about it. So I announced it, and yeah, like you said, it was a very quiet trade deadline, but I sat there and was like, you know what? It's time to think about next year, and that's what I did.
What I'm happy about is that I checked out some of our metrics numbers in our league. I'm number 3 in the league in points, and that's before adding Mr. Gibbs and Mr. Cup. Cooper Kupp joins, Jaden Reed and T. Higgins as my 3 receivers, Trey McBride at the tight end. I'm running with a choice of the Chiefs or Charger defense that has been the Chargers for the most part. Neither has an ideal matchup tomorrow. I might pick up a defense. Actually, you know what? No, I don't need one tomorrow. We'll be all right. Chris Boswell's my kicker, 3rd best kicker in fantasy right now. Joe Burrow's having a phenomenal year. If he had a defense, God only knows where the Bengals would be. And yeah, man, Saquon Barkley, possible offensive player of the year. That I drafted him and got clowned on by most of my friends, and I deserve it because I talk so much shit about him. And James Cook, gradually becoming a better back each and every year. So, Brett, you're in trouble tomorrow, pal, and I'm gonna kick your ass in the playoffs again.
Don't worry, he's gonna start Des Bryant, so he'll be good.
Oh my. On to Santa Clara. Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers. The only reason why I'm talking about this game, the 49ers were my preseason pick to win the Super Bowl against a team that they have failed to beat their last 2 times they've made it there. Of course, I'm talking about the Chiefs. The Seahawks cannot beat this team. They just can't beat them. They never could beat them. They can't beat them. And tomorrow, they're not beating them. Juwan Jennings, he's going to be just fine stepping into the more prominent role. He has been ready for this. Given the opportunity, he's done his thing. Seattle really fugazing early in the year. I can't believe that they lost 4 straight games in front of the 12s. I think that streak started when Isaiah Simmons blocked that field goal. 49ers 27, Seattle Seahawks 20. They're going to get a mercy touchdown too late in the game to make it closer than it is. 49ers are the one team that could potentially go on a run and steal the NFC from one of the favorites like a Green Bay, a Detroit, or even a Philadelphia. The 49ers, it's not a question of roster talent. It's a question of can Kyle Shanahan get them over the elusive hump? I don't know. But with CMC gradually getting back into the fold, it's much needed. And if they can ride him into the playoffs, San Francisco, similar to Green Bay, a team that is not afraid to play on the road. And they're going to have to if they intend on getting to another Super Bowl.
Yeah, look at this game. I mean, the 49ers took the first one in Seattle. The Niners are coming off of, I'm going to say, a very emotional win. I mean, we saw Deebo Samuel punch Jake Moody after
that was wild, dude.
Third field goal. And Moody, he made the game-winning one. And when you're 0 for 3 and make the game winner, it's very easy to forget about the 3 misses. And I think that kind of momentum is going to carry forward into this game. The Niners are getting healthier.
He only punched him because he can't go after his legs.
Well, I think honestly, I think Jake Moody said something about Deebo's pregame outfit, and that's why Deebo got pissed off. I mean, but either way, no, I think this is the kind of game the Niners need after a game like that in Tampa. You're welcoming Seattle. We already know the Niners lost to the Rams and the Cardinals in back-to-back weeks, but they have beat the Seahawks once already this year. They have to win this game. It's a very important game to win, to keep track, keep up with. Am I really going to say it? Keep up with the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, you really are going to say that.
I'm saying that. And when I look at this Niners offense, I think things are slowly coming together for them. Even with the loss of Brandon Ayuk, you bring back CMC, who in his first game last week counted for over 100 yards of from scrimmage, and he looked good. And his workload's only going to go up week by week. I think the Niners are going to come out, and I think they're going to slap Seattle around. They have a lot to prove. And you asked me the other day, who's the one team I think that can dethrone Detroit in the playoffs? And I said that 49ers.
Yeah.
I think they're the one team because they've been there many times. Will they? I mean, that time will tell. But to me, this is the game that the Niners need. They need it because we already know about the NFC North. The NFC South could still possibly get two teams. The NFC East is likely going to get two teams. So you don't want to flirt with that idea of being one of the lowest seeds, but I would love to see the Niners be the 7th seed playing the Eagles. I'm not going to lie, because I think the Niners will go into Philly and beat them down.
And that's one of those rare times for somebody like you and even somebody like me, because it goes without saying, 49ers, Cowboys, different divisions, natural rivals. Giants, 49ers, different divisions, natural rivals. But we will both be rooting for those dudes if they're playing the Eagles.
Well, yeah, and I've already told you, I think the Eagles are one of the more overrated teams this year, especially when you look at who they play. I know I'm going to piss off a few Eagles fans, and I'm going to get we just beat your team 34-6 and stuff. And you did. I don't care. Anyways, back to the Niners. No, I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to come out and win this game. Like you said, 27. I also have them scoring 27, but I think they're going to win 27-10. I think their defense is just going to be a little too much for the Seahawks. And really, Seattle right now, losing 4 straight games really did hurt them. And they had the opportunity to really take control of the division, and
they didn't take advantage.
They didn't. They really didn't. And it goes nothing against first-year head coach Mike Macdonald. I mean, I think he's going to be a great head coach in the NFL, but I think they have to look at a certain position. It starts with a Q, it ends with a B, and they really need to upgrade that one before they can really move forward. And it's really easy to tee off in their run game. But, yeah, give me the Niners to win this one 27-10.
Yeah, similar thinking. I didn't give my Falcon Bronco prediction because of the fact that I was worried about plugging in the computer. I am taking the Broncos in that one. Give me the Broncos 27-20. Give me the Broncos 24-17 over the Falcons.
And
Kirk Cousins.
17.
Wait, what was that?
And I have 20-17.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right. Probably the game of the week, if not the second best game of the week, because Baltimore and Pittsburgh might have something to say about that. The defending 2-time back-to-back, 4-time Super Bowl champions, back-to-back champions, going for 3-peat. The currently undefeated, Kansas City Chiefs, they've been winning. They have mastered the route of one-score victories, and I said this off air. If they did not have the resume that they already had, this team looks a little too much like, I think it was 29 Pittsburgh. That was like 10 or 11-0. Excuse me. And then the wheels fell off. I don't see the Chiefs doing that because of the phenomenal coaching they have and the great defense they have. And we both were in agreement the other day talking on the phone that Patrick Mahomes just has that knack for getting you down the field in that 2-minute drill, regardless of what happened in the previous 58 minutes. As the Bills go, I think getting rid of Stephon Diggs galvanized this team for the better. They are not an elite defense, but they are a good defense. Josh Allen, I think this is one of his better campaigns in terms of just ball distribution, taking care of the football. He totaled his interceptions for the year, tied it last week with 2. Still did enough to get the win in Indy. And Indy's not an easy place to play either. Because this isn't a playoff game, we know the history. I like the Buffalo Bills here. They had a whole long year to think about the way they lost, the plays that were left on the field. Then Tyler Bass misses the field goal. And then everybody's like, damn, death threats and all. The guy's like a connoisseur of taking care of cats. I'm talking about felines. We're not talking about that other kicker, the dude with the glasses, the Colt. What was his name?
Rodrigo Blankenship.
That guy. I saw some of his tweets. I was like, that guy really thinks he's cool.
No comments.
Yeah. Tyler Bass is going to be perfect in this game. 9 points coming out of him. Give me 2 Josh Allen touchdown passes. James Cook rushing touchdown. That's 21 plus 9. That's 30. And give me the Chiefs with 20. Buffalo by 10. Buffalo by 13. Chiefs are going to hang on 17. But this might be a rematch in the playoffs. They have provided some of the best games. I'm so happy Damar Hamlin is, not just playing football, but playing good football. Steve Spagnuolo, former Giants coordinator, he also coached in Philly, came back to the Giants again. Now he's been with Andy Reid for a while, the premier defensive coordinator in the league. I just think that this is the week, and I will say this, I said it to you the other day. If the Chiefs happen to win this game, they're going to go undefeated.
I am sticking to what I said after what the Chiefs did last year. My words were, I am not picking against the Chiefs anymore.
It's hard to.
And to save myself, I rather get laughed at as the guy that picked the Chiefs and was wrong instead of the guy that picked the Bills and was wrong. I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win this game. And one big reason why is because if I'm Steve Spagnuolo, I am pulling up that Baltimore Ravens game film and seeing what they did to slow down Josh Allen. And when I look at Josh Allen in this game, I think this weekend is the opportunity for Josh Allen to possibly leap over Lamar Jackson for the MVP votes. And yes, Lamar is having an MVP type season, so is Josh Allen, but this is that quality kind of game that Josh Allen needs to get to be able to convince the voters. And I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Not against Steve Spagnuolo, not against that defense. Is it possible that the Chiefs were looking ahead last week again to the Bills while they were playing the Broncos? It's very possible, but they still came out with that game victorious. And when I look at Steve Spagnuolo, I think he's going to have this team ready to go, or this defense ready to go. And offensively, this is the kind of game that Andy Reid lives for. This is the kind of game that Patrick Mahomes lives for. And it just so happens that now that Kareem Hunt has looked like the Kareem Hunt of 6-7 years ago. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win a very good game. And you know what's crazy? They lost Harrison Butker for the season.
Yes, they did.
I think they're going to win the game in walk-off fashion with a game-winning field goal, 27-24. The undefeated season continues. I think there's a lot more to this Chiefs team than we realize.
Zap, who's kicking for them now?
Me. I couldn't tell you. But I'm not going to go look to pick him up in fantasy in any of my leagues. But he's going to make that critical.
No, because we know that the sixth man for our podcast crew is actually backing up Mahomes.
Yeah.
And we know that friend of the show, Sylvia Snead, her nephew, former 2-time champion, now with the Titans. But they have been able to compensate for the loss of a great player in the Jarius. And D-Hop over there now,
Oh yeah, D-Hop.
In short spurts, he looks like that dude still.
Him, as crazy as it sounds, Travis Kelce started off not bad, but started off slow this year. He has been on fire. D-Hop, his career looked like it was done because most receivers go to Tennessee to retire, and he has had a drink or two from the fountain of youth. And then Kareem Hunt, after playing in Cleveland, comes over here, and it's like, what is going on? You have three guys that have been in the league for so long that are all playing at a prime level. And I'm telling you, I think this is the kind of game where these guys show up. And I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, if you were to ask a lot of his former locker room mates, whether it was in Houston or in Arizona, they would tell you he's a leader. If you ask any guy that's played with Travis Kelce, they're going to tell you he's a leader. And while Kareem Hunt had that unfortunate blunder in his career,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of guys would tell you he was still a good locker room guy. And this is the kind of guy that I haven't even talked about Chris Jones on the defensive side. I haven't talked about McDuffie on the defensive side. This is the kind of game that I think the Chiefs' experience coaching are going to win it and be able to slow Josh Allen down. Yeah, the veterans are going to get it done. Like I said, 27-24 walk-off fashion, and the Chiefs will have 2 games left, possibly one game left they have to worry about. And I already said, if they go into week 16, 15-0, I'm benching my starters. And if I lose, I lose. But there's just something weird about this team.
Yeah. And the Zebras occasionally like to throw them a bone. All right. Yeah, the Chiefs are a great team. I mean, now let me ask you this. In the event that Buffalo loses again to the Chiefs in the playoffs, at that point, do you have to move on from Sean McDermott?
I thought they should have moved on from him after last year. Obviously, moving on from Stephon Diggs really did help out, but championships are not won in the regular season.
No.
And you could be a great regular season coach, but what we need to see it at the next level. We need to see it in the playoffs. And perfect example, we're not a great regular season team last year, but what did they do? Their playoff coaching turned it on, and they're the ones hoisting the Lombardi Trophy.
That could be the irony of this year, being that they're chasing perfection. Maybe not chasing it, but they're lining up for it. Sunday Night Football, SoFi, Bengals, Chargers, Burrow versus Herbert. The class of 2019 quarterbacks, the two best ones. Herbert won Rookie of the Year. That was influenced by the Joe Burrow knee injury. No offense, Justin Herbert. I respect both these guys. The Chargers, top 5 defense in the league. Jim Harbaugh has really transformed them into a tough-nosed football team. Justin Herbert is not putting up the fantasy stats that everybody wants to see. But I'm still going to freeze him because next year they got a lot of money to play with, and they're going to get him some revved-up toys to go with what's an already efficient running game. Right now, they just don't have the guys that can stretch the field. The Bengals have some guys that can stretch the field. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, both going to be ready, able, and willing to go. I actually like the Bengals here because I don't know if they absolutely need this game, but they really do need this game. And I know that so many have that this is supposed to be a low-scoring game, and a low-scoring game, and a low-scoring game. No, sir. The quarterbacks are going to be on full display. Herbert is so damn good. And I look forward to when the Chargers start adding pieces that people are going to really understand how good this young man is. Can the Bengals hold a lead for once? Give me the Bengals 33, the Chargers 27, and just for shits and gigs, we're going to overtime. Yeah.
With this matchup, I'm looking at 2 specific names, Harbaugh and Taylor. And what Harbaugh has done with that team, in a
very short period of time.
Very short period of time. And not only that, all things considered, after moving on from a Keenan Allen, after moving on from a Mike Williams, after moving on from an Austin Eckler, after all the big names they moved on from, everyone that's still there had bought into his scheme, his system, and they're sitting there pretty at the 6th seed. And when I look at Cincinnati, I mean, if it wasn't for a very bad defense, Joe Burrow would be the front runner for MVP this year, or it would
Yes.
be Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
One of
good possibility. And it's
and
been a long time since a non-quarterback has won that award.
yeah, and it's that's the sad part about the Bengals is Joe Burrow is having a phenomenal year. Their offense is looking phenomenal, but their defense, and this is another one of those games. And I want to agree that I think it's going to be a higher scoring game, but I'm actually going to go opposite, and I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think this is the kind of game that both teams are going to have to rely heavily on the run.
Yeah.
Not rely on it, but the run game is going to have to make a difference.
It's going to have to open it up, too.
It's going to have to. And I trust the Chargers run game just a little more right now. Even though the Bengals went out and traded for oh gosh.
Herbert.
Thank you, Khalil Herbert. I don't think he's enough to be that 3-down back. The guy is a better 3rd-down running back than he is 1st and 2nd. Zach Moss is still out. Give me the Chargers to win this game in some funky style of game, but I think they're going to win it 23-20. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to have as big of a game. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's a primetime game.
Okay. Before we hit on Monday Night Football, Battle of Texas, quickly, just want to give maybe a 60-second review of that Netflix fuckery the other night. When you build it up that much, get your buffering together. Listen, I'm not mad at you, Mike. I know how much money you lost over the years. The only thing that angers me is that in order for Mike to get that pay, well-deserved pay, because he busted his ass during his career, it's an honor for a guy like Jake Paul to even be in the same ring with you. And I understand that you got to sell a fight. But, Mike, you don't got to sell this guy's credibility. This guy's a fucking bum. And Javante Davis said it best. I don't hate the man. I'm not saying he's a bad dude out of the ring. He has done some good things. But, my God, when you beat up a guy with the diminished skills that Tyson brought, if he would have even fought him 4 years ago, like, say, when he fought Roy, I think Tyson would have got him. And to be honest with you, maybe if he doesn't have that ulcer situation where he had the blood transfusion and things got a little scary there, perhaps Mike would have. But I think it's a true testament to the man that Mike Tyson is to go out there. I think Mike knew that he shot his load, so to speak. After 2 rounds, he had to protect himself. But there were a couple of questionable moments where I thought a Tyson combo, and you might appreciate this. You remember when Victor Ortiz and Floyd Mayweather fought, and Ortiz apologized and bang, 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 knocked his ass out. When Paul did that whole little, I want to bow to you, man, I wanted that Tyson uppercut so bad.
All right, I'm gonna say 2 things. First thing, Netflix. Last night was your preseason.
Yes.
Get it right, because you're streaming 2 live games on Christmas Day.
Not to mention, they're also going to be welcoming in the WWE, who's getting skyrocketing rankings since Triple H has taken over. So you got the NFL and you got WWE. So you better take care of it.
Fix that. And then secondly, first round, Mike Tyson should have knocked out Jake Paul. I think the fight was fixed. I'll be honest.
I agree with you.
Because here's the truth of it. If Mike Tyson knocks out Jake in the first, or if Jake knocks out Mike Tyson later in the fight, which he should have done, they don't get the same bag. Tyson doesn't get the $20 million. Jake doesn't get the $40 million. Obviously, if you want to get paid, you give a show. The true fight, the fights were Barrios and the Serrano fight. Those were the 2 fights.
Serrano got robbed in my estimation.
She did. But those were the fights. The Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, that was the entertainment. That's what that was. And I'll leave it with that. just think boxing right now is not where it is. So I think we're going to see a lot more of these. We're going to get some good boxing matches, but the headliner is going to be some. What was that TV show on MTV when we were younger?
Oh
The
yeah,
Celebrity Death Match. That's
yeah.
what it's going to be. Stuff like that.
I mean, Floyd Mayweather kind of opened the lane with this bullshit too, and then you look at yeah, it has, because one thing that we love as Americans is nostalgia.
Yeah,
Uh, Battle of Texas, Monday Night Football.
that's why I got that on.
Will the Cowboys break their winless streak at AT&T this year? Now, Nico Collins is active for this game, correct?
Yes.
Mm.
I don't want to spend too much time in this game. Short and sweet.
Well, fortunately, there's only 3.5 minutes left, so you catch that break.
Give me 3 minutes and 5 seconds to talk about something else. Give me 25 seconds on this one. Short and sweet. Dallas has quit. The team has quit on Mike McCarthy. Sorry. They showed glimmers of hope last week defensively, but no, offensively, there's too many holes right now. They're going with Rico Dowdle as their primary RB1. I don't think there's going to be much. I think defensively they're going to stand up and fight.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Out. I think they're going to this time. I think it's going to be a closer game, but I just don't see Dallas winning this one. Houston has lost 2 games in a row. Dallas is seeking their first home win. I think Dallas is on the realm of possibility where they're going to go 1-8 or 0-9 at home this year. Give me Houston to win this one, 23-16. I just don't like anything about Dallas right now, and you know how much I love Dallas, but right now there's nothing that gives me any type of indication that they can actually fight from here on out whatsoever. The team has no fight. So give me Houston to win this one, 23-16. Brandon Aubrey is going to hit some field goals. We're going to get that one offensive touchdown. Oh, and by the way, Trey Lance might be starting. We're still awaiting final word on that, as Cooper Rush is dealing with a neck injury. CeeDee Lamb's on the injury report. There's just too many things going wrong for Dallas right now.
Short and sweet. You guys struggle against the run. I think Joe Mixon is not good in that metric. I also don't know how I feel about Trey Lance, but I guess it's good to see what you got. Not too far off of what you said. Give me Houston 27 to Dallas's 16. I think Trey Lance is going to make a few more mistakes, and unfortunately, that's how that cookie crumbles. But the good news is this will be an angry Cowboys team, a prideful Cowboys team that will pick themselves off the floor and beat those dastardly Giants to secure that the Giants have a better chance of getting that elusive number 1 pick.
Yeah, Little Giants was a great movie, and then Rick Moranis got the Puerto Rico, and and that's the same way I think it's going to happen. I think the Giants are going to be able to pull it off on Thanksgiving, and like I said the other day, the Giants are a much better road team. And
no question, especially in the Daniel Jones era. There's no disputing that whatsoever. Funny Moranis story, I'll say it quickly. My stepfather, Eddie, retired NYPD of 20 years in the 20th precinct, actually gave him a parking ticket. He came into the station house like guns blazing. He was a short guy. My stepdad looked at him once. What the fuck do you think you are? I gave Howard Cosell a ticket. You're in that stupid movie with Shrinking the Kids. And on that note, he is Zappy. I am Richie. Enjoy your football tomorrow. Netflix, do better. And boxing, start modeling yourself a little more after UFC because they know what they're doing. Enjoy the games tomorrow, everyone.